Hello, unable to hear me? All right, give me a second here. I need to get my screen shared. Then we can get started. All right, and I think John will hop on in a few minutes as well. Um, once he's finished wrapping something up. All right, so again, mine's meant to be a bit more elementary for people who are newer, need more full explanations. Obviously, Jack, Jewel, everyone else they're over in the other stages. So yeah, if you're looking for more just live analysis and just the typical streams, you can head over to that one. All right, how's it going, everyone? All right, is my screen visible? Where's my water? Give me a second here. All right, sweet. Yep. Light mode, sorry, everyone. Again, that's gonna be how I roll. All right. So it looks like we had pretty decent reversal about 955.10. We have this reverse rug pull on SPX, positive note on QQQ Confluence. Looks like once again, actually, which candle does the market open? Okay, the divergence isn't too bad today. We have a little bit though for sure, which has become staple recently. So let me try and get my y-axis lined up. 690. Yeah, let's do roughly like that. All right, yeah, so he came down, hit the 685 on QQQ. That's basically bottom of the range. I mean, I know we have the 680 node, but very strong level down there. 7400, huge floor, reverse rug pull. So it's a very clean setup actually. Which I missed. I wasn't on. I wasn't online, but that's usual. Snow is killing you. Yeah, let's take a look. Snow, what did you take? So, lovely summer. What did snow happen? Were you trying to play 267.5 as a floor? Perhaps? All right, I'm gonna make that assumption. I don't know what you did. I'll wait until you message, but I think biggest. Oh, you bought puts. If you bought puts off 267.5, I guess it hasn't even been long enough to tell, right? I guess if you bought early on, or did you buy yesterday on this one here? So we'll see. I mean, yeah, right now it's holding that level. We just have to give it some time. If puts is your thesis there, so yeah, I think we just have to wait and see. Yeah, right now it's chopping. I will say like around this 267.5, we've had like small bounces both ways, but it's just been hovering around. It's been consolidating around this level since like July 15th, right? So we're not getting very good movement in this area, and like chart level wise, at least to me, this is not like a super strong chart level, unless you're trying to point out here. Unless this is your level, this isn't a super strong chart thesis. Oh, and the spread is insane too. Okay, yeah, if the spread sucks too, then always double check that. All right, what do we have? SMH. What's going on with SMH? Looks like we're dropping. So any SMH play off 590. All right, so puts off SMH 590 might have been like the best trade of the week. We had a 590, 595. So we had like this double node. Well, they're a bit spaced out. Looks like puts off of that paying pretty well. This was a level that rejected back in July 15. Don't get stuck chasing this node though. It's critical you don't just sit here and say, oh, I missed the 590 reversal, I'm going to come chase this 550 node. But yeah, I think this is a good case study for the week of One, when you enter a trade, like you gotta have the patience, right? When you enter this first tap, July 22nd, you're getting chopped out all day. Again, that's why you size for 0. Your level's not being breached, so you should be comfortable holding that, right? Yeah. So that's what's going on that one. Google. Google looks like we're coming up double topping. Oh, well, never mind. Looks like we already double topped with this 325 node. Again, so we have like this the range, right, on Google 317 up to 325. A lot of it is positive volume. So obviously with the morning open, like it can be very volatile, but sometimes as you push later and later, I would expect that this can get a little bit more choppy. But at least for now, Google double top along with top of the range, that node 325. We had no volume above, right? When we tapped 320, well, we had this 330 show up briefly. But this is likely way stronger volume down here at 325, so that's sort of your range there. So that would have been the play. All right, I gotta go a little quicker. I know everyone's gonna ask. There would be more questions on like, I guess how to trade, not individual tickers. So Cypher looks like 24.5 had a pretty good support resistance flip. Do we think it goes to low 22? No. We have this 24 floor. It's pushed up a lot. This 18.5 now looks like a lie. Not a lie, but it looks like we got delivered from that area, and now we're just decreasing in volume there. So again, chasing nodes, that's the risk there. Okay, yeah, let me finish the rest of these tickers. And then I can go through a bit of my strategy. I am gonna just create a video on how I trade, at least. I think that would help a few people. 600 meta, yeah, this looks okay. If you want to be safer, you're waiting for this double bottom. So for us to sweep that liquidity, then bounce. We have 600. This zone looks like we could get a bounce around here. As long as indexes don't look weak, which right now indexes all have a lot of floors. So I think, yeah, meta would be okay. All right, that's Meta, NVIDIA. Let's see. NVIDIA looked like it double bottomed already off this 205. So you're trying to get like a 205 move. Good reaction here, right? Like $2 move. And again, just because we have an air pocket and 210 is your ultimate target, that doesn't mean you don't trim, right? When you get this reaction, you still trim, leave runners, then you get up to 210, right? Don't take air pockets as guarantees. Like you're still getting a really good reaction here. You should be trimming, leaving runners. That should be your habit there. Are we going to 210? Hopefully, but again, no guarantees that we're going to get anywhere. These heat maps can reshuffle their moving targets. So if you start taking these as absolutes, you're going to get cooked on a lot of trades. Hopefully that makes sense. What I think of AMD. Price back to strong node. I don't know what that means. If you're saying price back to 540, I don't think so. We have this big 530 ceiling. It's actually where we just rejected. So at 530, big gatekeeper to 540. On the downside, maybe 520. You play the double bottom. You have this. It's a small node, but it's about half, a little bit less than half of the king node. So that's what you'd be looking for. This pocket of negative nodes down here is weird. This would play out if SMH has that big drop off. User 3x. I don't know. Playback on what? Oh, playback Google, and I'll see why. I'll see why what? I don't know what I said about Google. Playback, and I'll see why that node flared up. I don't know if that's what you mean. I don't know what you're trying to. Yeah, I don't know what the comment is, but like, yeah, if you play back again, we have this node up here, but this is top of like. This is one where it's like, yeah, if you're waiting for top of the range, you would have been safer and waited for 330. But with the double top chart confluence, this gives you a bit more thesis to be able to enter on the 325. I don't know if that's what you meant with Google for whoever asked that. User 3x. They don't know what questions to ask. Can I go through my strategy? Are we going through? I mean, I'm just going through whatever the questions are, Mo. Is there a way to track it notifications for a big change in Keynote and individual tickers? No, Sha. Currently not. In the future, we're working to add that. All right, let's see. We're now hitting these levels again that we bounced off of earlier. So again, reverse rug pull SPX 685 QQQ. So likely worth another try and just see what happens there on the double bottom. This SPX is popping a lot of volume down here, 67350, which is kind of weird, but yeah, I'd probably be comfortable trying this. Okay, let me try to get. Sorry, trying to get something pulled up. Did I try the new update on alerts? No, lovely. All right, I'm gonna leave all the individual ticker charting for a little bit later. Warm salt. No, warm salt to you. Do not do like a conversion of 1 to 10 from SPX to SPY. They're a bit different. Just all volume, look at it relative to its own column, and that's it. Like, don't try to cross compare SPY to SPX or SPY to QQQ. It's usually more work than you don't get really any edge out of it. All right, 735, 680 are all popping. Like, we're getting a lot of downside volume pops. So what was previously a low of range play, this is more of a mid-range play now. So I'd say the quality is docked a little bit. Like, we do have the reverse rug pull and then 685 on QQQ, but all this volume popping lower, and these are big pops, right? Like 100% on the 10-minute, 30%, 50%. So I think probably knocks this play down from, like, let's say A setup to B setup. It looks like we're still getting a reaction there though. Can I give a brief explanation of what expirations is? Yeah, so expirations is just how many columns. So if I go to Google and I have it set to current, I'm only using the first column. If I have it set to 1, it's now the heat map is based on the current column plus 1, and it'll sum them together and then show you that data. If I show this on 10, it's showing 10 columns of data summed together. So current, I use current because a lot of the stuff I do is very short term. You know, if you're day trading, you want to use current. If you're doing more long term, you can lump in more future expirations. I rarely turn off current. Even if I'm doing a long-term trade, I prefer to just pull up the full heat map table and view it myself, but that's the argument for looking at more columns. All right, so we are reacting here. Again, the pop in volume did drop my confidence a little bit, but still reverse rug pull 685. So still we're trying in my view, like V setup. I don't think all those volumes flaring up were enough to not try it. You just would have sized down likely if that volume popping up made you a little bit nervous. Can we look at Confluence? I'll go over, actually, when John joins, I'll let him go over SPY and VIX. I don't look at VIX myself, but I'll explain it. I guess to my knowledge, I'll explain it in a little bit. How to trade long-term 3 to 4 weeks. Is how to trade daily singles. Yeah, AOL, I'll go over that in a second. So why does Atlas I'm showing not match yours? 7350 is popping. Do you have, I don't know. I went over a video explaining my settings. I guess it's hard to troubleshoot this right now, but what I do is you can go, I don't know where I posted it. Just go to my videos and this Nico's Atlas settings, watch that, and then you should be able to replicate what I'm seeing. Barracuda. I don't know. I don't know when he took the entry. I guess it's hard for me to tell. If you got in on the overshoot, maybe he is able to pull 70% here. Actually, even if you got in at 268 or like very close to it, it's dropped $4 since then. So, or $3 to $4. That's probably what he's playing there. Barracuda, I think question for you is you got in at 1010. Sorry, let me replay this real quick. All right, you got in like right at the node. Oh, sorry. Jewel got in right at the node. I think you were playing. Barracuda, I think a comment for you is like near market open, it's a lot more like trickery. Not trickery, but like we overshoot really steep, a lot of like fuckery. I would just wait for a later entry. Those are going to be a lot smoother usually. If you wait after 10, it's usually a lot less of these big wicks past the levels, etc. You know, if you wait after 10, you take the second entry, you know, there's less of an overshoot and it plays out a lot cleaner. All right, this bounce played out. We already got what, $2.50 bounce here. If anyone was taking that reverse rug pull QQQ confluence, hopefully that trade was clear. Yeah, Barracuda, I'm not sure. I'll have to look at that later. Yeah, I'm not gonna answer questions about someone else's alert. That's all. Again, yeah, but DM me, or we can chat about that later. But I don't know when Jules' entry was. If he pulled 70%, he pulled 70%. There's not much I can say there, right? Is SMCI good short from 30? I'm leaning towards yes. Yeah, SMCI, like kind of this support resistance here, especially if semis continue weak. Just be careful. If we reclaim 30, like if we do hold this level, then you want to get out of those. But yeah, this could be a good one here. This is quite a steep overshoot though. But yeah, you could try SMCI there. All right, so calls here work quite well. Okay, so yeah, Barracuda, I'm just answering everything I see in the chat. I'm not saying, but yeah, all right, whatever. Nvidia, and I'm gonna go over my strategy real quick. So I'm gonna take a pause on like looking at individual tickers. Where would I enter for a reversal when we hit 210? I mean, like, you guys shouldn't be front running these nodes, right? We have a swing high right here. So if I'm trying to take Nvidia, I'm taking either 210 tap or I'm taking the sweep of this 210.4. Like, it's I guess it sounds like an oversimplification, but that's how it should be, right? You should be looking at these maps, have your nodes, your chart levels mapped out. Unless you tap your levels, just don't enter, right? Sure, you can front run, just recognize there's always the risk of front running. So for me, like, I like to enter on my levels. So I'll set an alert at 210. If it doesn't tap 210, I'm not even thinking about getting in. All right. Regarding my strategy, so again, I'll make a video on this, but for me, I think I'm very strict with Confluence. So I probably take less trades than most people in the group. Like if you compare to maybe John or to Glitch, I probably take less frequency of trades, but it's because a lot of times when I'm arguing a thesis, I don't just argue what's in my favor. I also argue against myself, what is going to go wrong for me. And a lot of the trades I like to take are because there's going to be an absence of stuff that can go wrong, if that makes sense, right? So biggest thing for me is, and for everyone, should be what are we reversing off of, right? So going to this example I just played out, we have 2 out of 3 maps showing a floor, right? We have the reverse rug pull on SPX. We have the QQQ 685 floor, right? So for me, I need to see at least 2 out of 3 maps show a node that can bounce price, whether it's up or down, right? That's step number 1. Lumped in with step number 1 is there has to be a chart thesis, right? So today, clear double bottom on QQQ. SPY didn't show it, but this is, again, I'm always very big on people charting both because sometimes one shows the clean double bottom or double top and one shows the clean support resistance, but the other one doesn't, right? Especially lately because of how big the divergence has been in the market overall, right? So again, for me, step number 1 is you got to have a reversal node, reversal nodes if you're doing indexes, right? Step number 2 is you need to always be gauging how much space does price have to move, right? So when we're looking at this trade that just happened, if we bounce off 7,400, 705, do we have at least, $1 or $2 to move upwards? Yeah, right? Because what we're having here is we bounce 7,415 could potentially slow it down, but in this case, it's more like you're hoping that negative gamma helps accelerate the move. And if you're looking at QQQ, we had this air pocket above where 686, 687 were a lot weaker. So it gives you have that space to run, right? And even SPY, we had this double positive stack, 738, 739, which it wasn't the strongest for the bounce, but you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, QQQ, SPX putting in strong floors. SPY, we're kind of holding this double positive stack, right? It would have been this negative or this red candle here. So you'd have been looking at this and saying, okay, if we hold the positive stack, we do in theory have this sort of air pocket at 740 that we can push up through, right? Now, just because you're mapping out, okay, there's a potential for this move to happen, again, it does not mean you hold your trade the whole way, right? So when I enter at, I didn't take this, but like, let's say I would have entered a 685 double bottom. I'm not assuming we're going to 690 and holding the whole way. Right? If you get the reaction, you already got 30, 40, 50%, trim part of your contracts, leave runners, and the runners will take you the full way, right? But there's the tool is best at guaranteeing where we're going to have a reaction and start a reversal. It is not to be used as like, oh, we must go hit this target, right? You're gonna run into a lot of problems if you trade it that way, because again, these nodes can reshuffle, these are moving targets, and it's what we should be thinking of is, okay, if we think we're just going to be a reaction here, we bounced $2 on QQQ, you were correct, right? There's a good reaction there. And if you don't trim, that's on you then, right? It becomes a mismanagement of the trade if you're not pulling profits on that, right? So don't let a higher target or an air pocket that you think it's going to push through, don't let that prevent you from trimming. You should still be trimming at all times. And for me, it's 30 to 40% usually the first trims. Some people are a little more conservative. They do like 20. Some people go a little higher, maybe towards 50, 60. But to me, if you're hitting 30% at all, you should not be going red on the trade. So whether you put break even, whether you trim and leave some runners, you should not have a red trade at that point. And if you put 30%, you forgot your limit sell and just didn't trim, again, that's fine, but I would not be taking that as a loss after, right? I'd either put a break even or just sell for a little bit less if you miss that 30% trim. All right, because, like in this case, right, we double bottom, but we push SPY double top, and now look at this, right? Now we're having trouble getting over that. So there's never a guarantee the move is going to go node to node. All right, let me think what else. I think like as a very simple explanation, that's what I do on indexes. I'm trying to think if there's something else that and I guess the final thing is the best plays are going to be like when you're at the bottom of the range, which I think is something else pretty clear on. We were hitting these levels. We did pop a lot of volume, which was making this be sort of the middle of the range. So I docked it from like A to B setup. So that's also something I keep an eye out for, is like, are we at the top of range, bottom of range on a given day? And that's something I also keep an eye on. Okay, now just to quickly explain individuals. Individual tickers, you want to trade stuff that have a lot of space to run. So you do have to know what ticker you're trading. For example, a $5 air gap on Friday on NVIDIA 0GTE, that's good. That's very different than a $5 air gap on Datadog on a Monday, right? Because $5 over 5 days, a lot less. That's a lot more time for a small move rather than NVIDIA $5 on one day. Okay, now you say 0GTE, even though it's the same small distance, it's the same distance. It's a much shorter time frame, so you can actually pull a lot more profits, right? But if you're talking like beginning of the week, you want to be seeing very large ranges, right? So like I always go to the example CoreWeave a couple weeks back off 70, right? The nearest node, well, 75 had some volume, but then if you play this, what ended up happening is 80 ended up being sort of like your next target up, right? So like CoreWeave, what's the other ticker I was going to say? Oh, there's one Jewel likes to trade a lot. Sorry, it's escaping me right now. But like there's some tickers that tend to have very wide ranges. So those usually end up being better ones to trade on the individual ticker side. Now, that's for me. Like I'm used to the volatility of these. If you don't, then yeah, you'll have to have your watch list be a bit more slower movers. And if you know it's a slower mover, then a smaller range can still work out, right? It just depends on the IV of the contracts, etc. BE also moves really nicely, actually. So BE had a huge 230 was top of range. I didn't trade this one because it was a quadruple top, but yeah, this played out really nicely. Now that this is insane. You're getting $30 drop on BE over 2 days. Yeah, I'm kind of mad I ain't played this now, even like small size. Anyways, and then the other thing with individual tickers, you don't want to be opposing the market, right? Like if you're coming into BE, you're saying like, oh, 200 could hold as a floor. If you're seeing like huge downside showing up on the indexes, maybe you don't want to trade that, right? Because even if 200 is trying to hold as a floor, if the whole market's selling off, it's going to have a real tough time holding that level. It might, but even if it holds it, it may be more choppy rather than a move upwards. I'm trying to think what else on individual tickers. Yeah, and the overall comment I'll give on individual tickers, this is more short-term focus, but like less is more. If you look at a map that has just 2 nodes, 3 nodes, those are better to play than something that has like 20 nodes stacked all over the place, right? So if we look at BE, so what is this? Yesterday at noon. Oh shit, I refreshed the page. Wait, my bad. So if we look at BE yesterday, right, like we have a huge range here. This is top of range. There's no volume above. Like this is a much cleaner map. Even if we didn't hit 200, this is still a 20-point downside off that 227, 230-ish level. All right, so hopefully that gives a brief explanation. I'm gonna make a much more detailed video on this, like with the checklist and stuff on YouTube, probably next week. All right, what would the next good opportunity be for a short at 742? Yeah, for me, I would have been looking for 741, 742 to hit along with the 690 if you're looking to short. You could have shorted this SPY double top. It wasn't a great thesis heat map wise, not much confidence. So I probably wouldn't have done that one. And also, we're coming back down to this floor on QQQ, but this is not the third test, so I would probably not be trading this. Or if you do, make sure it's very small size. What percent of my position do I trim? That's variable. That's David's. I would say as an easy rule of thumb, just trim half your contracts. So then at each target point, you're just trimming half your contracts until you run out, if that makes sense. So if you're trading small amounts, you're only going to have 1 or 2 trims, or maybe even just 1. But just because you're trading less contracts, you should not start going for higher profit targets. You should still have the discipline to say, all right, 30, 40%, I'm taking my trim. I'll leave runners. If you don't have runners, that's fine. Just take your trims until you compound the account, and eventually you'll be able to leave runners, right? And if you don't have runners, and this is why I'm really big on people playing SPY and QQQ. It enables you with the same position size. Instead of SPX grabbing 1 contract, you can now grab 4 on SPY, right? And they can be closer to the money probably too. So it's a much healthier way to trade because you're able to have those runners, which is going to make a huge difference. All right, can I do a video about trailing? Yeah, Lovely, can you DM me that? I don't use trailing stop losses myself, but yeah, I can. I guess I kind of do, but I don't use like a broker. I don't use the broker's trailing stop loss. I like manually move it. But yeah, I can still make a video about it. When the price action rejects off of resistance many times and the node is growing, yeah, Z trading, like we're pushing up towards a node and it's still growing. That's telling you the floor or the ceiling or whatever it is getting stronger. But I mean a big change, right? So like the fact that we were pushing down to 685 and it was growing 9%, to me, that's not the floor getting stronger. That's just we're getting closer to the node. Nodes are going to grow a little bit by default. Now, if it's growing 30, 40, 50%, now that's a significant change. And then I'd be viewing that as like, okay, I think that is our floor getting stronger. So like also be very careful about like what you view as getting stronger or not. If you're just seeing a plus 10% change in velocity, I don't really care. I don't really care about velocity unless we're 30% or more, I'll be honest. Oh, regarding BE, I don't think this node got much stronger. It looked like it stayed pretty neutral. It looked like it got a little bit stronger. But I'd say the big thing with BE is like we also had no volume growth above. That's also a really big clue there. So it was truly top of range there. How would I read? But hopefully I know it was like a pretty rushed explanation of how I trade, but hopefully that is clear. Oh, so I guess the other thing I didn't mention on indexes is sometimes the node that is going to prevent the move is not going to be on the map you're on, right? So sometimes the risk reward being limited won't show up on SPX. Maybe you have 2 floors on SPX QQQ, but the ceiling is on SPY, right? So you have to look at all 3 indexes together to gauge what are your floors. But then if assuming we bounce on those levels, what are the levels that are going to get in the way once that move gets started, once that reversal gets started? IWM. It looks like we dropped down, sort of hit top of range 292, and we're dropping lower. I'll be honest, I don't trade IWM at like much. I think it's been months since I've traded this. The reason being, what I should do is add IWM to like Trinity and have the confluence. I just don't have the habit. So I often don't correlate it, but you should be correlating it to the other 3 indexes. Like oftentimes it's a little bit less its price action matches the overall indexes a little bit less than SPY QQQ compared to each other, but that is a comparison you should be making. But it looks like IWM filled this gap and then got a rejection off of that. Let me see. I guess going forward, potentially it's 290. If we sweep out this wick, hit this negative node, you'd be looking for a bounce. especially if that aligns with something we're seeing on SPY, QQQ. Canuto, I actually don't use Gex plus Vex. I would be using it for longer term stuff. So you're talking out to like 3 weeks, a month, let's say, or longer. Actually, no, Gex plus Vex, you should probably do 2 to 3 weeks. I would not go longer. Once you start pushing longer, I would just look at Vex only. Look at Vex only for your bias. Look at Gex still for your entry. So just because you trade long term does not mean you ignore short term. If you're trading a 2-month contract and you have a very good 1-week thesis, that's a great time to enter because you're going to get a strong push to start on the contracts, and then you'll get that sustained push over the long term, right? So just because you have a very strong long-term thesis, it does not mean like throw the short term out the window, enter whenever you want. You still want to be checking Gex for a good short-term entry. Because also some of these like long-term support resistance zones, they're very wide, right? Like they'll be a $5 range. So the short-term can help pinpoint where in that level, where in that zone do you actually want to enter. All right, so again, triple bottom here. Looks like we're having a bit more trouble. The reaction was, we had a very small reaction, like maybe half a dollar on QQQ, maybe a full dollar if you were really like scalping it. But now we're having a bit more trouble. Now, SPY has not cleared has not made a double bottom, cleared the low day, which is interesting. Usually this is bullish when one sweeps out low of day and the other one doesn't. But the issue here now is we drop any more, and now 685 has become a ceiling. So I would not be trying to long this, I'll be honest. And whoever was talking about shorts, I forgot what the ticker was. Someone was talking about shorts. I completely forgot what it was. But that one's probably playing out decent if this move, if we can flip the 685 to a ceiling. So now issue is SPX has a floor. Like we're still holding this floor, a reverse rug pull. QQQ, this is a really deep undershoot though. This is a full dollar under. So I probably wouldn't be trading this because now my issue is, yeah, we hold SPY 738, SPX 7400. But now QQQ is going to be slamming into 685. There's a potential we flip this previous support to resistance, right? So a lot worse quality. And this is what I'm getting at when I say if the move happens. So based on SPX SPY floors, if you think this move is going to happen, what's in the way? You have this huge 685 node, right? So that's why one, it's a triple bottom, but then two, that's why I'm a lot more hesitant on this trade. Can we find your setup for Atlas settings? Yeah, again, it's on my YouTube. If you go to Atlas settings, I think I explained how I have indexes, individuals, and futures. 739 is now ceiling. Oh, that is a good point. So previously 739, 738 were a lot closer in volume. So I was looking at this like a double stack. It does look like, yeah, 739 has definitely overtaken it. So let me see. I wouldn't want to short off of it though because of this reverse rug pull on SPX. Like this reverse rug pull on SPX is they're a bit misaligned where this floor is still holding. SPY, we're just on these two positive nodes, and then QQQ, we have a ceiling. So I'm leaning a bit more bearish, but we have not broken under this SPX reverse rug pull. I don't like these are kind of opposing each other. Like the floor on SPX is preventing these ceilings on SPY, especially on QQQ. SPY, I still don't know. Like this could just be we have a double positive stack and we're just gonna hold that. Yeah, I don't like right now very much at all. What's my split of trading? As David, I split my trading between indexes and individuals. It's not actually based on preference. So I'm very comfortable trading both, I'll say. Well, in my opinion, but the reason I trade one versus the other is actually just what I'm thinking on the overall market. So like with market near all-time highs, it's a lot trickier to trade individual tickers. So I've biased myself more towards indexes because of that. But like say last year when it was a little healthier to trade individual tickers, I was probably 50-50. Actually, no, there's probably a point I was like 80% individual tickers and way less indexes. But now I've flipped and gone way more indexes than individual tickers. So it's just depends on the market, I'll be honest. Like the overall macro read. I'm not good with macro. I'll be honest. Like I just look at glitches warnings. So if he's saying, oh, like we're potential correction, like if there's heavy hedging, I'll go pretty cash heavy on individual positions, and then I'll flip to doing more indexes. Where's my current read on IWM? Did I not just read IWM like 2 minutes ago? Again, like the retest of 292 was the short. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see this, so you're probably just waiting for 290 at this point. I mean, that's the same as what I said 5-10 minutes ago. SMH is 550. Yeah, but that SMH level is, I mean, we're getting there. But it's still pretty far. Like we've already dropped $15. We need another 15, right? To go tap that 550. But yeah, it's possible. The 7350, 735, 780, like if SMH starts ripping for this 550, then all those notes can come true, and then that'd be what you're looking at for a low day. Looks like SPX, it looks like these levels are holding. Like they're giving us some trouble on this flush. But again, I'm not taking these calls, right? But it's at least slowing the move down, right? So that's why potentially a retest of, let's say, 685 might be failing because of this. But it does look like we're getting a lot more bearish. It's just this SPX stack at 7400, 7405 that's sort of ruining further downside. Snow update. I don't know. Snow's the same, right? 267. If you didn't trade puts off this, there's not an update to be had here. Like this already played out. Unless we come in double top. I don't know. On tickers, what do I decide a thesis is working? I don't know if I exactly understand that question. I guess on tickers, you don't always know the thesis is going to work until it happens, right? Like, but you enter on the level, and you enter based off the heat map thesis and your chart thesis aligning, right? You're not waiting for a wick to form, a candle to go your way, and then entering. You just enter. Like that's how reversals work, right? If you're taking puts, you enter as soon as this candle's like big green. You don't wait for a wick. You just enter as it's pushing flat top, right? When candles are pushing new highs, it's going to be a flat candle, right? You just enter there. And then you just wait and see, do we get the reaction or not, right? As for when it's invalidated, as a simple rule, you can use maybe like 1 or 2 nodes as a stop loss, right? So when you enter 267, if we come up and hit 270, maybe that's your stop loss, right? And maybe give it a little extra space because we do have a positive node up here in the wick. So I'll usually use probably 2 nodes as a stop loss, but that's like the rough rule there. All right, SPY is double bottoming here. Yeah, I don't like the divergence, right? So like even though QQQ looks like it's flipping this to a ceiling, SPY could just be double bottoming, hitting this reverse rug pull and react. So, but it is looking like we're hunting down lower. Like there's a lot of volume growing. It's getting a lot more bearish. Will you be wanting to look for like, is this a reverse rug pull that's still throwing me off on SPX? So what you'd be looking for if you want to get a short entry is not, oh, we broke under 7,400. I'm playing breakdown. What you should be looking for is, we break under, retest it. So we retest 7,400, retest 738, retest this as a QQQ. Then you look for shorts, right? So you're still playing a bullish candle. You're still playing a reversal, right? Even if you think we're going to get a continuation, you wait for a retracement, play the retrace, and then play that reversal. I don't really like this break and retest to downside, but yeah. Anyways, would I swing Google for? No, I don't think I'm swinging anything more than like 2 weeks right now. 370? 370 is really far. Why is that the contract selection? Are you looking at this node on OPEX? No, I mean, we got down on earnings. This node on OPEX is for sure going to roll volume lower, right? So this node at 360 will probably keep pushing volume. 340, these will probably increase in volume, and these upper ones are going to decrease. I would not be swinging a Google 370. I mean, this could play out perfectly. I don't really care, but I would not be doing that based on this earnings gap down. And the VEX takes more time to roll down, right? VEX takes they're larger positions, more long-term. It takes more time for this volume to adjust. So do not look at OPEX nodes, especially post-earnings where we dropped, where they're going to need some time to readjust lower and take that as a target. Look, I'm teaching Jewel. How's Jewel in here if he's streaming? We got to fix this. I don't know how I can't see who this actually is. Yeah, Crow. It looks like 7,400 is gatekeeping like downside, right? This is what's preventing the drop. 685, 639 have flipped more towards ceilings. So I don't really like that they're battling each other. So I've been telling people not really much to do here. Yep, Crow. I like what you said there. Breakdown retest. Contracts are cheaper for strikes on Google. Okay, you can still be bullish on Google. Like, I think that's fine. You know, if you go more macro, is this a good level? I can see the argument, like off here. Like maybe this kind of wick here is maybe what you're looking at. Again, I'm just guessing here. I don't actually know what your thesis is. But okay, why won't this draw where I want it to? Like here. So I can see that argument. Like this level did reject like a good 3 times in the past. So if you want it to now be support, I would just not be looking at that strike. I typically look for, now on Google, they're probably going to be expensive, but I typically look for strikes like 0.3 to 0.4. And that's how I decide the strike selection. But yeah. Okay, so we did hold this level. Wow. So again, I don't like this trade because we're now battling 685 as a ceiling, but yeah, the SPX one is playing out with the SPY double bottom. What even? Lovely. I don't know what you're talking about there. Yeah, user 3x. If you're doing more long term, I think I see what you're saying there. Half the game is waiting. Yeah, probably more than half. 0.3 delta. I use that for every contract. You need to have a minimum. Oh, okay. Got you. Lovely. A minimum of 0.3 delta for any trade you're taking, whether it's 0 DTE, long term, whatever. That's my personal rule. If you're on the safer side and you have a larger portfolio, you can go out to like 0.4, 0.5. I've always traded pretty small portfolios though, so I use 0.3 to be able to get a cheap contract, but not so cheap that it's a terrible delta and you're going to get killed by theta, right? All right, this trade is working, but again, to me, this wasn't like a great setup. One, QQQ had triple bottomed, and it looked like we were potentially 685 was being lost. And then two, even SPY 739 had grown, so it is working out though, I will say. But yeah, as I explained, to me, I think the earlier bounce was a cleaner setup. But you know, to counteract myself, right? We did have the dark pool here. We had the double bottom, reverse rug pull. So like, looks like that did hold very strongly. What does that mean? If you go to your options chain, there's going to be a delta. So what I'm saying is I want the delta on my contract that I buy to be 0.3 or higher. That's like it's a very simple rule of thumb because I know people get really tripped up on like contract selection. And it's like, I mean, obviously you can, like, but what I always tell people is that if you just want a quick rule of thumb, just use 0.3 delta, 0.3 to 0.4. And you know, with that, you can decide in a few seconds what to do. All right. Okay, let me see what else here. Thoughts on shorting 739. So you're saying shorting 739. Oh, hopefully this didn't already play out. 739 with, I guess, this double positive stack QQQ. Yeah, you can. Along with the 7415. It looks like this is already happening. You can. This is more of a scalp though, because again, you're shorting towards like this reverse rug pull is limiting it to like about 10 points, 15 points max of a move. So you can short it. I don't know if I would. It's a bit less risk reward than I usually will go for. All right. All right. So you notice SPY, SPX at double bottom, same price. Well, Rafi, SPX and SPY should always double bottom together. It's the same chart. Or do you mean like on the? Yeah, I don't know if I'm understanding that. Yeah, Crow, the QQQ floor is also throwing me off a bit. Like to me, the few levels that are counteracting each other right now, like ceiling on SPY, floor on QQQ, floor on SPX. So like, it's been a little less confidence than I would have liked. I think that this undershoot here to 684 threw me off. Like if this would have been a lot less, maybe down like 684. Like if it would have stayed above 684, I think I would have said like, okay, this is potentially just a very strong undershoot. We're still holding SPY and SPX, and then been more comfortable taking this. But yeah, I'll admit this was to me this is looking like it could be a risk of break and retest. So I skipped this bounce here. 0.3 delta applies to. So the rule is 0.3 is a minimum. Like for people who have smaller portfolios, you want to get cheap contracts that don't get data chopped. So 0.3 is a good like middle ground. If you have a bigger portfolio and you can afford closer to the money, yeah, closer to the money is always going to be safer. So if you can do 0.4, 0.5, yeah, go ahead and do that. I wouldn't trade in the money contracts. There's just not much point. At the money is usually better. Because within the money, if it goes anything against you, like the drawdown could be pretty steep. Yeah, hopefully that helps, Keys. Give me a second here. Oh, the node track and release was today. Oh, I was not aware. That's why y'all were asking about that. All right. So no, it's not that 0.4 is above too high. Yeah, my bad, Lovely. No, I haven't tested it. I'll have to test that later. Yeah, it's a bit, I don't know. When I'm streaming, like to focus on the questions, so it's a little tricky to keep track of other stuff. Oh, it's a bit buggy. Okay, any feedback on it? Let us know. So message us or yeah, just DM me it, I guess. Lovely summer for now. It'll be okay. All right. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, again, this pump is playing out big time. But yeah, hopefully my explanation for why I didn't like it made sense, or why I had docked it to like lesser setup. But yeah, if you're viewing ES only, like yeah, this is a clear double bottom. I'll admit. Madam, you just jumped in? When? Wait, you just took this calls? What do you mean, Socrates? Do I treat resistance lines the same as node taps? Yeah, so node taps failing on the third hit is not, this is not a heat seeker thing. This is a chart thing. Like any level, if it's a dark pool, if it's a support resistance, if it's a node, if it's been hit 3 times from the same direction, there's a higher likelihood of it failing, right? So like playing a triple top right now on SPX, this is a lot riskier than playing the double top, like 40 minutes ago, right? So that's a chart thing. That's not a heat map specific thing. Hans Gruber, can you DM that to me as well? I'll send it to the developers. It's weird that capitalized won't. That's weird just because all tickers are capitalized. So I wonder why that's the case. It's a bit weird to me. But yeah, just DM it to me and I'll get the feedback over to them. All right. First day here as they. Can I explain the? Yeah, I'll go over the for and against. Okay. So I'll go for the against, which is what I sided with, obviously, since I didn't trade it. The against was to me 685. We had already dropped like a good $1.50 under. So there's high chance this was not flipped to a ceiling. So I didn't want to long straight into a ceiling. That was the main against for me, I'll be honest. And even SPY had grown a little bit on 739, but it was mostly QQQ that was throwing me off on the divergence side. We had also triple bottom broken under. The 4 was SPY, SPX. We're still at the double bottom. We have this dark pool as well on SPY. And then we're still holding the reverse rug pull on SPX. So I'll say SPY, this stack had grown. Like this positive stack was now down up to 3. So we had a little less confluence, but mostly chart thesis plus SPX reverse rug pull, and then dark pool would have been the bounce there. And then, yeah, again, triple top up here, higher likelihood of breaking through. So yeah, no rejection there should be played. Hopefully 3EX. Hopefully that helps. S. Davids, what's my advice for getting started? So one, no, I don't use Flow. A lot of people do. I personally don't. I'm still learning it. What's my advice for getting started? One, go through the academy. Two, go through Glitch's YouTube. Those are going to be your biggest sources of info. Yeah, mine. I also have like the Heatseeker fundamentals. That's a bit more like quicker videos to go through. Glitches are a little bit lengthier. If you're on Glitch's page, I would go through. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna wait. Let me pull up the. Let me pull up the. So if you go to new to Skylit in the channel, I put almost every link you should need. So I put Glitch's Substack. I put the Academy link. I put his YouTube along with 3 videos that I think you should start with. So Bakery 101 for onboarding. And then whether you trade indexes or swings, just pay attention to the videos I posted after. So that new to Skylit channel should have all those resources. I have all the YouTubes for the success team, Skylit team resources. If you go to that thread in the channel, there's I have a collection of like all the trade recaps, all the YouTube videos. If y'all want to have them all compiled, they're all in there. Yeah, I'll start with all of that, and then always know that like I'm accessible. John is accessible through DMs, so just feel free to message us. We can answer any questions. If you need help finding something or just have questions about the tool itself, just DM us. Can I drop the channel? I can drop a link to it, but it's just new to Skylit. It's right under announcements in the server. And this channel, I should update it. There's probably something that's a bit old, but that's where I put almost everything. Can I send which videos? Yeah, just go to the channel. I have them written down there. Take a screenshot or something. Oh, wait, that's a good point. Lovely Summer. Yeah, Hans Gruber, if it's a ticker we don't have, let me know, and I can add it tonight. Do levels reset each day? 737 was tagged yesterday? I mean, 737 was tagged, but like, we didn't bounce very cleanly off of it. And also, like, today, we never even reached 737. So, like, no, I don't reset levels. So, for example, so we had this big reversal here, July 22nd. This wick came and like swept liquidity up here, right? So we had like a larger time frame double top, if that makes sense. So you still, I'd actually recommend against resetting levels, because a lot of times levels from previous day, from overnight, they are going to be influential the next day. So you need to always keep those into account. And I guess, actually for downside, I would have liked if we pushed up to 690 as well as 742. Looks like we're getting a bit of reaction a little earlier. I would have liked higher to play reversal, because yeah, 741, we have a ceiling, but it's kind of solo, right? So again, getting to my rules, like I personally like to play reversals of at least 2 nodes. So if I only see one, to me, it's not that strong of a reversal. I know there's one on SPX here. If you look at the volume, this is a pretty soft one. So I usually like to see a bit more of a distinct node that sticks out a bit more, right? This is working though, I will say. So again, or let's say you're in calls, right? This is also a clue to trim. When I guess that's another thing I haven't explained. Like when my way of managing contracts is very conservative. So if you're in calls, anything that can go against you, it doesn't have to be an A plus setup for puts, but any potential resistance, whether it's a node, whether it's a triple top, you want to be trimming as you hit those spots, right? So let's say you took call again. I didn't like the call play, but let's say you took calls. You would have been taking trims at the triple top. You would have been taking trims as we hit 741. And that's going to protect you, right, from some of these reversals that occur a little earlier than maybe when you thought puts would have been the entry, which would have been, another dollar higher. Yeah, I'd say the reversal right now is because of this. You have this positive node stack on SPY. So 741 is rejecting. Yeah, actually, this negative node is a good catch. That is a good confluence there. And then we also have these couple of nodes on like the 7430 on SPX. That this is what, like the fifth strongest node, sixth strongest node, I think. But yeah, if you're like probably like the more A plus setup is up here at 690, 742, I'd say. SPY and VIX a lot. Yeah, let me take a look at VIX. I know someone had asked the question earlier. So John didn't join. He must be busy. That's a good point. So VIX, I don't use VIX at all, as I mentioned earlier. But if you are to use VIX, what you want to be looking for is sometimes the VIX will have a much clearer level than the indexes, right? So like the index ceiling was a little bit higher, but you flip over to the VIX, 18 is your very clear level that can give a bounce, right? So you want to be looking at where VIX could potentially reverse. Same thing here actually on 20. Like we had 2021 as a bit of a rug pull. So we came up, rejected. And you can use that in confluence with like, okay, do we have some kind of floor, some kind of ceiling? So this can give you a clue of like, all right, 18, bit of a road bump here. There's a chance we're going to get an earlier rejection than 690 and 742, right? Because VIX would drop probably, I don't know, another 20, 30 cents for us to get up there. So who said that? Nick. Yeah, Nick, thanks for pointing that out. What was I saying about NVIDIA? That if we hit 210, this would be a better entry. All right, yeah. Yeah, if anyone took NVIDIA, yeah, you could have scalped here. Dollar drop off there. I know Glitch says no stop loss. How do you take it for smaller accounts? The same, Crow. Smaller accounts. So smaller accounts are a bit more limited by what they can trade, right? Because if you have 2 to 5K, you don't want to be using, well, this is a general rule. You don't want to be risking, especially if you're learning, probably over like 5% of your portfolio. If you're comfortable with the tool, a little more advanced, sure, use up to 10%. I think Glitch will sometimes even go up to like 20. But that's because he's running like challenge boards. He can go a lot more aggressive. Obviously, Glitch has a much higher win rate than anybody. So if you're on a smaller port, you're still learning. I would size the minimum. Like I would just be taking 1 to 2 SPY QQQ contracts. That's it. If you're comfortable already and you want to size a little heavier, you can push towards like 5-10%. And yeah, you do size it for 0. Like I wouldn't change that aspect until you have a lot more experience. So if you you take, I don't know, 50 trades in a month and your average drawdown is 30%, then you can put a stop loss in at 50%, right? But it's based on your data, right? If 90% of your trades do not go below minus 40%, sure, then you slide in the stop loss at minus 60, minus 50%. Until you have that data, just play with no stop loss. Because you're going to get chopped out of some moves. Let's just say some moves are going to undershoot or overshoot more than you think, etc. So I would still maintain that whether it's a small portfolio or not. Can I explain Archie's VIX pivots? I'll explain how I understand them. I do not use them, I'll be clear, so I don't know if I'm explaining something here wrong. But to my knowledge, Architect will post his VIX pivots on Twitter. And what they are is levels where he's looking for either a breakthrough, a hold being that we chop around it, or a reversal, right? So now one big thing is he has this thing called 10-minute rule. So I don't know. Let's say our level is here. If price comes down, can I draw? Y'all can see this, like this little dotted line. All right. Oh, Hans Gruber, if you try to DM me and it won't go through, that's something on your settings. So check that you can send DMs to people that you don't have friended. All right. So again, we go to the brush tool. So let's say price is up here, we start going down, right? The VIX pivot 10-minute rule is, hopefully I'm explaining this right. You come down and hit the level, you then start a timer. If we bounce and we stay above that line, we do not tap that line again for 10 minutes, then it's a valid reversal. If we tap it again, you reset the 10-minute timer and you need to wait for another bounce. So then if you're chopping around it, it's just resetting the 10-minute timer all the time. And then that just means chop, right? And let me delete that. Now, if we come down and we break through, same thing. You want to see, to confirm the breakthrough, hence further bullish action, you want to see that we don't retest this level for 10 minutes, or that we don't retap. Right, so any tap of the level resets the timer, and then you want to see a reversal or a continuation, hold for more than 10 minutes for you to say that, like, oh, this is confirmed. Hopefully that makes sense. What time frame should you look at? It doesn't matter. It doesn't look if you're on the. It doesn't matter if you're on the 1 minute, 10 minute, whatever. Like the timer is 10 minutes from when it taps, so you want to see 10 minutes from that point. No, he doesn't trade VIX. This is for trading indexes. So if VIX bounces, he uses that to know, okay, we're bearish. He has a bearish bias overall. If VIX holds the level, or if we get a continuation, he's overall bullish bias. And if we do neither and we just chop around the level and we keep tapping it, it's just chop. But so a couple of comments on this. One, Architect trades more long-term contracts, so he's doing a more macro bias. So this is fine, right? And it works for him. The other thing is, by the time you wait 10 minutes to confirm that we're getting a reversal, the reversal might have already happened, right? So like right now, say your level's, I don't know, 18.2. We just tapped 18.2. If you're waiting for this to hold 10 minutes under, the move's already happened, right? This already ripped up. So like it works as a general bias, or if you're doing more long-term, but I don't personally use it, because if you're trying to trade pure reversals, you're gonna be late to some moves because of this. So again, like it's good sometimes to help you have that bias, but it operates a little bit differently than how like Glitch teaches, right? So just keep that in mind, right? When you're looking into that. I think this was a news candle. Yeah, this is definitely news. It's like a $20 pump in 2 candles. Does someone know if something came out? Yeah, so the 2 different styles, right? It's not that Architect is wrong, but yeah, VIX down is generally bullish on indexes, user 3EX. Yes, DM me on Discord. Hans Gruber, if you don't want to, sorry, I forgot to say something. If you don't want to DM me just for privacy reasons, you can just also send it in the group chat and then just @ me, and then I'll check it out later. Keyboard reverse to lowercase after and searches. This is the first letter. Oh, wait, Hans Gruber, this was a bug. I think I submitted a ticket to the devs. Still send me a message and I'll just bug them again I'll remind them to do it. All right, annoying part about this news is we tapped 742, but this is like a lightning fast tap, so not really possible to play that. But that level did hold. But yeah, not really possible to trade that one. No, I mean, it's not now. Yeah, the time to play shorts would have been around 742, right? But I mean, we already dropped $1 off of that. Yeah. All right. So yeah, getting back to what I was saying about Architect is like, it's a different style, right? So just try it, see if it helps you, like have a bias, etc. Some people try it and they love it. Some people try and they hate it. So it's not that it's right or wrong. It's just that it's a different style. So just be aware of that. So you can use it as a confluence. Like I know a few people will play Glitch's reversals and then use Architect's confirmation of a pivot just to hold their contracts longer or something like that. But again, I don't do this personally, so I don't want to say too much and mislead people. Or not mislead, but just like tell them something that's wrong. All right, we'll see. I don't know. Was this news? I'm trying to check Discord and see if someone said anything there. Maybe it wasn't news. Maybe it was just that big of a push. Also, Glitch is gonna hop on stages in a little bit. So probably when he does, I'll leave, and then y'all can hop over there. All right, maybe it wasn't news. Maybe it was just a big push. Yeah, we're getting a huge push here, though. Holy shoot. Yeah, there are plans to put in like SMA. Oh, I think EMAs. I don't know about SMAs, but yeah, some of like the more base indicators. Bro, this has to be news. All right, if there's news going on, don't trade. Look at the 694 node. You see how quickly this popped? This has to be news. Am I tripping? I wonder if the 690, 742 holds. Yeah, if news candles start flying, I just don't trade. Is my recommendation. Wait, are we for real? What a move. What the heck? SPY is a lot stronger in QQQ. It's taking out double tops from what, July 22nd? The 23rd. QQQ is not even close. Yeah, I don't know what news came out. Something big came out. But yeah, 7470, 694. Looks like this whole positive stack is just being flipped to a floor if we hold here. If we hold these levels. Unless this is a big overshoot, and I don't know. If news is flying around, just don't be trading. There's no point. Oftentimes there's a node from where price went, and I don't see why it doesn't bounce back to that node. User 3EX, because nodes shouldn't be targets. They should just be, if we go hit these major nodes, you expect a reversal. Yeah, don't be using them as a target. Just because a node is there does not mean we must go there, right? If you're biased one way or the other because of a large node, then you still need to be waiting for what is the reversal node you're going to play off of. Dude, SPY is moving dark pool to dark pool. This is crazy. I need to pay more attention to dark pools, maybe. Yeah, I would say 690 is resistance on QQQ, but this is, I don't know. To me, this candle's moving like there's news. So during news, during MOC, during market open, that's when you have more volatile price action. There's high chance you get like huge wicks pass, that you get big reshuffles. You know, that you have bigger risks of weird stuff happening. So I would be very cautious. If news candles, all right, if they make you FOMO, just set a 5-minute timer and just come back after, or just 10 minutes after. So yeah, again, by the way it started moving, I was already suspecting it was news. And then, yeah, when you, like I said, news going on, you just want to stop trading. It's the safest thing to do. SPX is more important than SPY. No, I mean, today it is. Like today, this reverse rug pull is giving all the clues, but no, it's not always more important than SPY. What's up, Insane? That'll vary on the day. Sometimes QQQ or SPY leads more than the other, so it's variable. So that's why we always tell people, view them all as 1/3 of the puzzle, and then that's it. Do 0 DTE nodes work better than 2 to 5? I wouldn't say so. Like Jewel trades pure individual tickers, and he almost always finds some kind of play going on. Oh, thanks, Cal. Okay, well, yeah, there's the news. His stages on mobile choppy. I don't know. Is anyone else here on mobile? User 3GX, does the total gamma value on each index matter in terms of weight? No. So like, do not compare SPX absolute value to SPY. You know, view them each relative to their own column. The only times I'll do it is if there's just like some abnormally large, like there's been times where SPY is like 5 times as big as QQQ or larger, like the king node. So in cases like that, sometimes I will view that as a more of a sticky node or one that's more likely to pin. But no, generally I don't cross compare. Just view them each relative to their own column. So we actually kind of are reacting up here. I wouldn't trade this just because the news just happened, but we actually are holding this 690, which is crazy. And this SPY 742. But again, I would not have traded this with news going on. But we did hold. All right. So yeah, we got a reaction there, but again, yeah, news is just whatever. SPY's not put in just huge positive volume, so I wonder if we may just start chopping around here, I'll be honest. All right, 742. Jewel, I don't know who Jewel is. 742 calls for fun. Oh, I see. All right, Jewel, whoever this Jewel is, got stopped out. Yeah, user 3. Yeah, no problem. So like smaller delta contracts are okay if you're expecting like some huge explosive move, right? They'll move more exponential, but size it way smaller or just don't do it. Like 0.3 is usually gonna be a lot safer for the movement of the contract. Trump and actually Gruber? Putin and Xi are not gonna sell weapons to Iran. What the hell? All right, so it seems a couple headlines are coming out. That one and then the Pakistan one that someone had sent earlier. How do I determine SPY 742 is the ceiling or floor? You don't really know. I mean, it's just like hovering around it. Especially once they start putting in like 743, 741, like this keeps growing, it just starts becoming a big stack of positive volume. So, yeah, something I missed actually, like this double top from, I think I had mentioned that it's clearing the highs. I actually did not think of it though, but yeah, we also double topped using July 23rd's highs. Just the divergence is huge. QQQ is not even close to those levels. Yeah, the velocity of these nodes is 7485, 7490. I don't really care about these yet until the volume gets higher, right? Like end of the day, this is still a $3,000 node, or not $3,000, but 3,000 in volume compared to 40,000. That's nothing. Okay, Rafi. Yeah, Rafi. At least you pulled some green, but yeah, the with news things are a bit crazy. Can we play call credit spread now on SPX above 7470? I mean, you can. I would definitely give it some margin though. Because issue here is 7470 is ceiling on SPX. If we get a 694 on QQQ, that's higher than 7470. So when you buy, if you're doing like any kind of selling credit spreads, you want to be thinking of what is the worst case scenario on all the maps, not just the one not just SPX. The other one is like when you're doing call credit spreads, you still want to be selling it at ceilings. So the only ceiling we're at right now, well, kind of at the ceiling here, 690 and then the SPY. But you still want to play a reversal with call credit spreads. Just because they're a bit more lenient on like how long you can hold them and all of that, don't still be very picky about the entry on them. Option price will move more violently closer it is to strike. When you say more violently, do you mean percent-wise or absolute value-wise? Percent. Well, no, actually, the further out the money, if you get the move in your direction, those have higher percent gain. Like they go more exponential because of the gamma squeeze effect. Closer to the money, they increment percent gain a little slower, but they do lose value quicker, right? Because they're closer to the money. So I don't know if you mean profits or in drawdown, but it's the answer varies depending which side you're looking at. Or do you mean due to theta? 0.3 delta will start moving faster if option price will move to strike faster. No, if the ticker goes to where your target is, and it's not like a very slow move, the 0.1 delta will have a bigger percent gain. Like those will go more exponential than a 0.3 delta. But the 0.3 delta is safer because it's a little it's less impacted from theta, like I said. So the reason I recommend 0.3 is not because you make more money with it. You actually make a tiny bit less, but you don't get completely nuked by theta, right? If chop happens for an hour, you'll be fine on a 0.3 usually, whereas on a 0.1, those would be completely gone or very, very dead. Yep. Yeah, no problem. All right. Yeah, let's see what happens. Big reshuffle after all that news. Looks like 690. Yeah, the big level 690, 743 now actually is growing a lot of volume. So 743, 742, we have like this double positive node, and then 690. So let's see what happens. Kind of just hovering at those levels, see if we hold them or not. Does anyone know if Glitch got on live stream? If Glitch got on, I'm gonna cut and then everyone can just go over there. I cannot tell. Actually, can someone hop over to that stream and tell me? Where would he live stream? On stages. He would be in the other stages with Jewel and them. I don't know. The last time he went on stages, he didn't send an announcement, which is kind of annoying. So not always. So yeah, someone let me know. How long did it take me to get good? I guess there's two, like good at trading or good at heat seeker, because the answer is very different. Okay, he's not on stages. Thanks, Andres. Good at both. Yeah, so heat seeker I learned pretty quickly because I came from using a different gamma tool. It was a lot worse. Like it was like every 5 minutes it would refresh. So like it was a lot more annoying to use. But I already had an idea of like, oh, once you hit a level, a lot of times it unwinds. I didn't know it was reversals. I would just look at it as like once you tap a level, it gets used up, like a gamma level, and then a lot of times it'll disappear and volume will go elsewhere, right? So I was used to playing reversals, especially late day, like a lot of you like Power Hour. I was like heavy playing Power Hour, which I actually don't recommend. But that's just when I felt it worked best, that other tool I was using. So like when I transitioned over, like I already had some of the concepts, not because I knew why it happened, but just like I had seen the pattern like the patterns go out over and over and over. So I had the pattern recognition there. So I feel like I learned, like I was able to build a thesis very, very rapidly with this tool, honestly, like probably from the minute I got in or like a week or two. Yeah, what took me forever is like, I guess to not be like I am incredibly impulsive. Like I had really bad sizing. I'd be trading while I was at work. Like I was previously an engineer, so I'd be like at the office just like slamming trades, right? So like I had a lot of discipline problems, and like I'll sell early or get stopped out, etc. Or I'd like lose faith in trades, right? I would have sized for zero. Like I had a ton of issues. So that took me months to figure out. But the heat map side I learned pretty quickly. But I think that's honestly, from what I've chatted with a lot of people, it's often not the technical aspect that you're lacking, right? Some people it is, but for most people, they can learn the technical side, or they're at a decent understanding of the tool and the charts and everything. And the solution is not always in studying more replays and all of that, right? For some people, they can build a thesis correct 7 out of 10 times. It's just a discipline thing, right? So the psychological side, the how disciplined you are, like that is something you have to work a lot harder at than I think people realize. And so, yeah, a lot of times it's actually not the strategy you're using or the way you're trading, or maybe it would be sufficient with this tool, or like whatever point y'all are at, especially if people have been here a few months, let's say 1 to 2 months or a bit longer. Sometimes it is just something on the mental side that's actually holding you back. So, what's up, Dolce? Davids, if you're using Flow, I mean, I don't know what tool you're using, but Flow Seeker is very developed, and also it's like you have direct access to the developer. So like if you have recommendations based on features you see on the other tool, or features you would just like to see in general, let him know, and put in go to the portal. So if y'all go up here, go to this little portal button, you can put in feature requests, bug reports. Like you guys can report all this yourself, and like the developers go through, read this, I go through, read it. Like I think one of the best things about this community, like the service we provide, is like we're very big on listening to what features y'all want, right? And we do our best. I know there's like a million features coming in, like feature requests coming in, but we do our best to add the ones that are highly sought after by many people. So, I mean, I'm biased, but yeah, I'd say I don't. I think long term, you probably don't need another flow tool on the side. But yeah, like I said, I'm obviously very biased, right? Any tips for the mental side? It depends what the specific issue is. Let me think. I mean, I guess in terms of like not selling and like all of that, like I had a lot of issues with not being able to size for zero. I was really bad. Like a part of it is, as you build more confidence, you have the confidence to hold through some drawdown. I was terrible with this, right? So like I would have to like enter a trade, set a 30% sell limit, and delete Webull, right? Now I'm a bit better. Like I can actually I can watch it and not be impacted. But the overall tip there is don't monitor your brokerage. Like make sure you're monitoring everything on the chart, right? So when you build a thesis, you gotta verify if your thesis is going well or not based on the chart, based on the heat maps. As soon as you start putting money to it and like your mind links them, you don't think as straight as you should, right? So on the sizing for zero side, and like some people also cut their winners too early. They sell them at 5% because they're afraid to go back red. That's something that can help, right? Is just don't look at the brokerage, right? I mean, obviously the contract is going up or down, but you don't know how much, right? And you don't see the dollar value up and down. So avoiding that can help you a lot, right? If you do this though, obviously you need to be using sell limits. You need to be using all these different limit orders. So you still execute your trims, you still leave runners, and you're still trimming according to your rules, right? This doesn't mean like just close the app and don't ever sell your contracts. But that's something that helped me a lot as I was going through it. I think the other thing is be careful how you monitor your. Interesting. Yeah, David, see if you can get to like a similar ballpark on the filtering, and then if not, message Tirth and see if there's something we need to add and to get that parity that you're looking for. I'll go over to Netflix real quick, and then I'll say something else, Crow. Oh yeah, Netflix hitting the 70 note. So Netflix. Oh shoot, this played out again. Netflix off 67 early in the week, best trade. We then had 68 tap twice as a reverse rug pull. So any tap of 68 also would have paid, right? We got $2 straight up on Netflix here. And Netflix didn't care about the market. Market's having some downturns. Netflix just kept going. Now that it's hitting 70 though, yeah, I'd be trimming out of contracts. You can play this reversal. I don't know if I like it too much though. You can try this double top. We don't have much of a target though. Like I'll say the morning one was really nice. You have a reverse rug pull, huge target up at 70. We have 4 hours left in the day, so it's possible we get a bit of decent movement, but I don't know. Yeah, you could try this double top, but the stronger play was definitely this reverse rug pull off 68. Yeah, Nvidia. With this pump, Nvidia probably just got ripped through. Oh no, it actually held to 10. Well, actually, I'm surprised. With this pump, Nvidia's still holding 210, so this double top played out if anyone did that. If anyone tried that, it overshot a little bit, but this one definitely played out. So another comment, like sometimes if we're able to tell if the level is going to overshoot or not is the chart, right? So the fact that Nvidia reversal overshot last time is a bit of a clue that maybe it's going to overshoot this time, right? We also have this dark pull up here, like 0.6 above 210. So that's some extra context you can always use. But yeah, Nvidia 210 reversal really nice here. I think someone had asked way earlier. So if they kept their eyes on it, then that trade definitely was a nice one. It's kind of weird. QQQ, we had the 690. The volume died off, but now we're actually reversing off of it. Usually it's the opposite. You want to see the volume grow and then we reverse. So it's like this is like a reverse peekaboo that's actually still playing out. So well, John calls them peekaboo. I think he got that from Jeff. What it means is like when we rapidly have a node show up, a lot of times they can be pretty influential. So like let's say this negative node here, like this one popped up, then we got a strong reversal off of it. The fact that this died off is the inverse of that though. Because in theory, this ceiling is weakening, right? The 690. So it's allowing an easier path upwards is what this would generally mean. But SPY is not letting off at all. We still have a huge amount of volume here. Oh, yeah, that sucks. Lovely. Double check. It depends on brokerage. Some brokerages have like OCO orders. So basically, whenever one gets filled, the other one gets canceled. I don't know what brokerage you're on though, but that's something you can look into if it's there, if it's an option. Oh, Fidelity, I have no idea. Fidelity should have OCOs. Most of these like more developed brokerages do. I think Fidelity is just kind of clunky overall. Got you. Yeah, it happens. But the OCO is a good way, like you don't even have to think about it in the future. All right. I was gonna say something else for you, Crow. I just don't remember what it was. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is a lot of people track their progress with the completely wrong metrics, right? A lot of people track their progress based on P&L, win rate, percentage. Those are, at least when you're just starting out, those are not great metrics to track your progress with. Win rate, I don't like. It's a good one after you have some comfort, but the reason I don't like win rate is because a lot of times when you're starting out, you're taking trades and you're getting scared out of them and you're cutting it for a loss, even though your thesis was right. So when you're tracking win rate, you should be tracking not the P&L result of the trade, but was your thesis correct or not, right? If you can have a correct thesis 7 out of 10 times, even if you're not profitable, that means you need to work on your entries, not that you can't read the maps, right? So you need to be tracking the win rate of your thesis, of the theses that you build, each day and each week and each month, not was it red or green on the trade, right? Long term, yes, your win rate should be based on if you're red or green. But while you're starting out, you're gonna have some botched entries or maybe some bad exits. If your thesis played out, though, you should be tracking that as a win, right? P&L, for obvious reasons, you should not be tracking that, right? Like you should be focusing on, can you improve how often your thesis is correct? Can you improve your entries? Tracking your P&L is just gonna, you're gonna beat yourself up for nothing if you do that. The other two very important metrics that you need to track are, one, what is your average drawdown per trade? So if your thesis works, whether you executed it correctly or not, if a thesis goes well, you should be looking at, based on where I entered or where I wanted to enter, was my drawdown 20%, 50%, 80%? Your average drawdown, you should be working with each trade, regardless if it's a win or a loss, if you had drawdown above, let's say 10, 20%, you should be looking at it and saying, how can I reduce this, right? What could I have done? Was there chart level, dark pool confluence? Was it a negative node? I didn't account for the undershoot. Like, go read through everything you can on the replays. If you can't figure it out, ask me. But you should be trying to figure out, how can I reduce the drawdown on this trade, right? Because the less drawdown you have overall, so the better entries you're able to pick out, the easier it's going to be mentally to hold through it. And then two, it's going to be easier to trim, right? And then the other thing I tell people to track is, what is the peak percentage? One, do most of your trades hit like 30%? And then two, what is the peak percentage, right? So even if you trim at 30%, you have no runners, and that trade goes to 200%. Don't view that in frustration. Keep track of that, because if you notice a lot of your trades, you're trimming at 10%, 20%, but they're running to 50, 80% of your trades run to 50%. That's good data for you to have, and it allows you to trust yourself more with extending your take profits, right? So the average drawdown is the critical one. Like, the entries have to be fixed, but looking at what is your peak gain on the contracts as well is also very important, because that's what helps build the confidence for yourself to allow you to leave some runners, or to move your take profit from 20% to 30%. Because it's a lot easier to make these decisions if you're doing it based on a month of data where you've looked at all your trades, you have all these metrics, and it's a lot easier to do it in that case, right? So those two statistics, as well with the win rate, but again, win rate based on your thesis, not on the P&L, because you're going to mess up a few trades here and there while you're learning, right? So that's also another big one, is if you monitor your progress in that fashion, it's going to be a lot healthier, right? Where you're not going to be beating yourself up over a botched entry that was actually a good thesis. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Can I go back to Trinity? Trinity's on the screen right now. Yes, there is a second stage is open. If you go to stages, Jewel and Jack are running the usual one. This one, I'm just doing more Q&A and just going over like questions for people who are struggling a bit more, or maybe they're newer to the tool, etc. Yep, Crow, exactly. So if your entries aren't perfect, of course, I'm not saying ignore that. Like, you need to fix that, but you shouldn't be thinking you're doing everything wrong just because your entries are a little bit off. LeBron to Philly. Holy hell. How do I think about option premium pricing when you're trying to be quick and taking a trade? Oh, bubble wrap eggs. You're saying on indexes? I don't think I've ever considered. I don't even think I think about that. Like, is this contract too expensive? I just buy it. If it's a 0.3 delta and follows that rule, I'll buy it. I mean, if it's too expensive relative to your port size, then just don't trade it. And then if you're talking about individual tickers, if it's too expensive, switch to a cheaper ticker. But with individual tickers, look at the IV, right? Like, if you're, I guess, stick to tickers that have contracts under 100% IV is maybe the general advice I'll give. Just recognize that some tickers have horrendous IVs, like Rocket Lab at times. CoreWeave usually has a really high IV. So some tickers are just naturally going to have very high IVs. So you can't really get around the whole, like, you just kind of have to deal with it. But if you're not comfortable doing high IV, then just skip all those trades. All right. Next feature to be released, I believe the Index Sniper. Don't quote me on that. I believe it's the Index Sniper. How many hours do you suggest we spend on perfecting every trade? Well, 18 hours. Well, I can't tell. Bro, Barracuda, is that a typo? I mean, if you somehow have 18 hours a day, I guess you can spend it. I would caution against overburn. Like, I wouldn't be studying too much. And I think the other thing is, like, if you get stuck, like, that's what me and John are for. Like, don't spend 2 hours. If you spend more than an hour trying to think through something, you can't find an answer online, just ask us, right? Like, that's what we're there for. But no, like reviewing your own trades should not be that intensive. Like you should go through it, go through the replay, but I don't know, like it can be 10, 15 minutes each trade or less. How often do I have these live sessions? This week I only did 2. I'm gonna do more. My goal is like, I guess every day. The goal is for me to most days of the week offer somewhere where people can ask a bit more questions, be a bit more free flowing, like focused on the chat. I know I'm not calling out some of this stuff live, and again, that's not the intent. Like, if you want to see more just straight up live analysis, just join Jack and Jules. Mine is meant to be more, yeah, if you're new or if you're struggling a bit more, just somewhere you can ask questions a bit more freely. What's up, Alam? Bubble wrapped, because that influences the entry. Unless you're looking at where the index spot is versus your option spread. I don't know if I get the question, bubble wrap. Like to me, like I never look at calls or puts and say like this is too expensive. Like to me, if there's a reversal, and I'm willing to try it, right? I guess if like for some reason contract prices are really inflated and you're thrown off by it, just don't trade it. But yeah, I'm not sure if I have an exact answer for that. I'll be honest. I don't think I think into it that much. Crow, is there any prep homework you think we should do before boot camp? Yeah, go through the YouTube, the academy. No, I mean, there's not too much. I think stay in touch with me if you need. Like, send some of your trades over. Like, you don't have to wait till boot camp to learn. You know, you can learn a lot of that stuff ahead of it, and then have that be more reinforcement as well. What's the difference between Index Sniper and Forge? So Index Sniper is more just like you're able to see a lot of the information from Trinity, just in like in a simpler view, right? I know some people at Trinity it's a little harder to parse through if you're newer. So Index Sniper is just supposed to be a bit more quicker to mentally assess, right? But it's not meant to be saying like do this or do that, right? It's not like Falcon, which is like actually saying here's a bubble where you should enter calls or puts, right? Forge agents are a bit different, right? Like you're able to customize them, you know, based on your liking, and it is more like explicit alerts, right? But you should be able to tailor it to your liking. You know, like the agents will be you build them, right? So they're based on the guidelines you give it, the rules, etc. So, but they are more like, okay, here's an actual alert you can pull for this, right? No, Falcon's not going to be released. Forge is going to be released. So Forge is where people can build their own agents, right? But Falcon itself is not going to be released. It's just Falcon is just a proof of concept of Forge. It's the difference between. What's up, Alam? Alam, how are you doing? How'd you do today? Alam usually a killer, based on most days. Jack doesn't give live and out. Yeah, I think sometimes the other stream it's tougher to follow until you have a bit more like time in the group, I'll say, or like until you're like a lot more comfortable. So that's the whole goal with me starting these is I get that sometimes it's a little trickier to follow what they're doing. They're also very focused on some of their trades and executing, so they may not go into some of the questions as in depth. So again, it's not that one is right or the other. It's just that we want users to be able to, based on their level or what they're looking for, access a stage that matches what they need. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense, Barracuda. Socrates, so you got Apple, then you sold, then you got back in and sold. Holy shit, Apple's running. Wow, this 320 had tested so many times yesterday. I thought it would actually break down. This thing ripped. Wait, when did you enter again? I'm curious. How do I know when it's good to re-enter? I mean, what I'd say on I know it worked out, the re-entry, but I'd say Apple, I would only be taking a re-entry if we actually had a pullback. We had no pullback on Apple. This thing's just been straight vertical today. I mean, we ran $10. So on a case like this, unless you got in on a retracement, and there's really just no re-entry. Can you take boot camp online? I asked Glitch. I'm not actually sure. DM me, user 3ED. I believe no, like the slots are already full. But there are a few people online just because they're like in other countries and stuff. But I don't think he's expanding the space anymore. But I can ask him. V3 is Agent Hub. Yeah, Agent Hub, which is now named Forge. Any advice on how to approach gatekeepers? Yeah, so Water Raccoon, if you're already in a trade, gatekeepers are just good spots to trim out of anything. If you're not in a trade, I would only recommend trading off of gatekeepers if there's some very strong confluence, right? So like if it's a gatekeeper on SPX that aligns with the king node or the top of the range on SPY, now maybe you want to trade it, right? But if it's just a solo gatekeeper, I will very rarely trade those because yeah, it's a little harder to tell. Are we just going to break through this and go to the king node, or are we going to get a reversal here, right? So it's if it's for entries, I only trade off of them if there's a very good confluence on the chart and on other indexes. If it's for just how do we approach them in general and you're already in a trade, it's just a very good spot to trim. I would always trim at any gatekeepers that are going in the way. Hopefully that helps, Water Raccoon. Forbes 3 for 3 today. Okay, nice, man. Wonderful. So Alam took snow puts. Breakdown. All right, nice, Alam. I don't know how many contracts you trade, Alam, but I don't know if you do SPX. Actually, I have no idea. DM me, Alam, but like, it may just be something where it's worth just for like a week. Try switching to SPY, buy more contracts, sell everything but one. Like, just leave a single runner. Because I know you're consistent on your reads. I think it's just a matter of getting used to leaving a runner and watching it play out. So just like just trim everything but one, and then with time, I think that'll help you build some confidence there. Any reads on Trinity? Not really. That's why I've just been talking. The 690 disappearing threw me off a lot. That threw out a lot of the confluence. It looks like SPY's just ranging in this positive node stack. So SPY's restricting movement either direction, right? We're also getting close to lunch, so usually less going on at this moment. Hopefully that helps, Crow. Yeah, potentially I don't know. Like, this is just, SPX put in a pretty, it's like a $40 range, nothing crazy. But yeah, downside definitely a lot more limited, and then this lines up pretty well. Actually, the 7430 lines up pretty well, 741. So maybe if we get down there, you can look for upside. QQQ has, 685 is lingering more than I thought. Retracement on the woman. Okay. Okay, Soccer. Yeah. I was like, what are you getting off of? Okay. Yeah, if you're used to trading like very small, I don't trade the 1 minute, but if you're used to that, then yeah, I think that's fine. But typically I'll look for a larger retracement. All right, what else we got? D3 this month? No, I don't believe so. It'll probably be later in August, even September. I don't want to promise the date because I'm not in charge of that. Like, I'm not a developer, so I don't. Yeah, I can't force a timeline on them. I think Lesh said end of summer. Yep, see it, Kero or Crow. Can you touch on the RS that? Well, I don't actually know what I told Forbes, but yeah, I mean, RS in general is just you want to be playing support resistance levels, right? So the overall comment there that I usually tell people is like, never forget what's going on the chart, right? Like, a lot of people, you go to a setup and their heat map read is actually perfect or very good, but then you're chatting through the setup with them, and then they'll be like, oh, like, what's the chart thesis? And they'll just be like, oh, like, I don't know, like, it's not something they double checked or triple checked. So the big thing is like, always make sure you're adamant on the chart. Is this a third tap of a level? Is it a good level from previous day? Like, you need to have a thesis on the chart, right? Oh, Alam, you already switched this by QQQ. Interesting. Yeah, Alam, can you DM me how many contracts you take in general? I don't know if this is too big of a deal, but I mean, yeah, you can always see if you optimize how you leave runners. So just DM me, Alam. DGen on the 3 minute. Nah, some people trade 1 minute. A lot of futures traders, not in this group, but like in previous groups I've been in, they're trading like 30-second. Like that. Some of these futures traders go pretty crazy. It will be smart to create a short strangle 679 call sell, 700 put sell. 679? I don't think I've ever traded strangles, Mr. Beb. Wait, but that range is way higher than what we're looking at. Is that a typo on some of these numbers? Socrates, if you're struggling with trimming, it seems like you're struggling more with drawdown. If drawdown's really tripping you up, try sizing way smaller for like a week and see if that helps. Oh, I assumed he was saying support resistance. I don't think I ever tell people about relative strength. It's not something I really pay attention to. Yeah, what Alam says is true, Socrates. Like, have a set first trim spot that you always target. So I know Alam's is pretty conservative. It's down towards like 10, 20%. Mine is usually towards 20, like actually towards 30%. So like where that exact trim point is up to you. But if you're doing 0 DTEs, you can usually pull 25, 30% if your entries are good, right? So if they're not like great for now, yeah, maybe you go 10, 15, 20%. And then, but over time, you should be looking at, can I extend my first trim on most of my trades, right? So even for you, Alam, like you should look at most of your trades are if they're running 30%, 40%, like long term, you can work to say, all right, maybe now my trims are going to start being at 20%, 25%, right? And that's always a good long term goal to have. Yeah, no problem, Ali. Yeah, I'm glad it helps. All right, I don't. Is Glitch still not on? This guy was lying to us. I mean, I'm joking. Glitch must be in some meetings and stuff. Don't tell him I said that. I don't see a message anywhere that he's getting on. Let me trying to check Slack as well. Yeah, LeBron he really did go to Philly. The heck is that? Yeah, I don't see anything about Glitch, so I don't think he's on live. I can run this a little longer, but I do have to leave soon. I have to drive up to South Carolina to do something today. Any other questions before I hop off? Yeah, Lam, at least from what I've seen from you, most of your entries are pretty good. So I think you can start trying to see if you can bump it a little higher. Glitch is chilling. Joe smoke break. Man, what's going on? What's going on with the company, Andres? We're cooked. Any other questions before I head off? It's almost lunchtime too, so like, yeah, if this SPY stack sticks around, just nothing's gonna happen. And also, yeah, y'all can go get some lunch too. Why not? The only trade I'd be looking for here is maybe like, if we get any further break, we can start pushing to 7470, 694. But I don't know, like we've already pushed a lot in the day, so I generally will tell people, we've already ran $5 with all the news and all that. You generally don't want to be going too crazy and hoping for, $10 days. What does the G8 stand for? Oh, the G is for my last name. It's the first letter of my last name, and then 8 is my birthday. So I don't know. I've used this username since I was younger. Yeah, I'm glad these are helpful, everyone. It's the intent is everyone can learn and start to read these maps a little bit more independently, right? So of course the community is always going to be here, right? As if y'all want to Confluence, there'll be the stages, everyone in the chats, etc. But it's much healthier for y'all mentally. It's a lot easier to trade long term if you can build a thesis and be confident in yourself, right? And not always be dependent on someone. So again, there's that. If y'all haven't seen this article from Glitch, oh shoot, wait, it's not here. If you go to Skylit, if you go to Learn, I don't know where it is. Oh, here. So if you go read this, like how to graduate alerts thingy, that'll explain why this is the thing, right? Like alerts are fine if you're learning and it's something that you're trying to see how can you apply it yourself. But if you build a dependency on them, it is not good long term. So that's my hope with these sessions, right? Is that y'all can be a bit more autonomous with how you trade. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, Alon. But even like within Skylit, even some of the alerts within the server, right? Like these are obviously some really good traders, but you still want to be able to put your own thesis on it and see if you agree or not, right? Like you want to tail someone because you agree with them and not just because, oh, like, they do well, they must be right. So it's always better to, because, there's going to be times you don't agree with someone, right? There's going to be times, even some of the oracles, right? There's times they look at the same indexes and they have opposite opinions, right? So like everyone has their own opinions. Everyone's brain is different. So if you're able to at least take all those, apply your own thesis, and then, take the trades that have confluence, all the better, right? But it's the more dependency you have on someone else, the riskier it's just very unstable long term, right? Because you never know, are they going to hit a rough patch? Are they just going to quit? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they stop trading for whatever reason. They go do something else, right? So you never want to have a dependency on someone, that deep of a dependency. Bud, can I put on the development list a deafen button? Oh, yeah, Bud, can you DM me that? I'll tell Glitch. Where do I need to know to look when you get on your next stage? Tin Cup, I'll try to do this every day. Next week for sure I can do every day. Wait, let me check a calendar. Next week I'll do every day. The week after I will not be able to do like any days because of boot camp. I can do maybe Monday. Oh no, maybe Friday. Next week I'll be on every day. Yeah, I just have a really bad sleep schedule, but I'll be trying to get on for market open, or at least 10 a.m. most days. So they'll be running concurrent with Jewel, with the typical stream that's going on the side. Oh yeah, thanks, Alam. I didn't send the link. my bad. This skylit.ai/learn. This is a very handy link to have. Like y'all should definitely have that saved. Will there be any streaming during bootcamp? I'll have to chat with Glitch about that. Typically, John and I are not actually presenting during bootcamp. At least last bootcamp we didn't. So it's possible if there's somewhere I can stream from in that building. Maybe I'll step out a few of the days and still stream for y'all, and then. But it'll be more limited. It'll definitely just be like, let's say 2 hours, because there's usually something going on during lunch and some of that. But I'll think about it. But no, there's a chance that for the 3 days between August 4 and 6, that Jewel, John, myself, Glitch, none of us are going to be streaming. So it's going to be purely Jack, Calf, and Architect are also going to be at this bootcamp, I believe. It might be a bit light on that streaming between the 4th and the 6th, I'll be honest. Reso. You can convert Skylit docs to brain rot content to study. Yeah, what Alam says is true. And also like oh wait, maybe it doesn't. I thought you could search on this now. No, maybe you can't. All right, we need to add like a search thingy to this. I thought you could. Is it the Academy you can search on now? Wait, sorry, I'm trying to. I have no idea. Oh, last reminder, please do the survey. Will Bobby from Owls be there? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think he's New York. I don't think he's New York based. I think Bobby from Owls and Glitch and Keon met recently, so I don't think he'd come again to New York, unless I don't know, maybe he really likes New York, but otherwise I don't think he would. Wait, last favor I ask of everyone here is to fill out this survey. I'm gonna send this out to like as a banner, but if for anyone here, I mean, this will take maybe like 15 minutes, but if you guys have the time either now or after market close, please do that survey. We'd really appreciate it. And we're raffling. If you do the survey, what is it? If you do the survey, if you leave a Trustpilot review, and if you do a WAP review, we're raffling 1 month free of Pro. So there'll be someone winning that. Reso, can I explain SPX move today? Although SPY had Pika stack and Qs had King node below. Reso, at what points? Not all the moves I thought were clear. Oh, are you saying like the 11-10 move, like this big spike? Oh, 10 to 11. 10 to 11? Well, the 10 a.m. reversal, I actually liked a lot. Wait. Yeah, both the 10 a.m. and the 10:15 a.m. reversals, I liked a lot. We had the reverse rug pull on SPX. We had the QQQ 685 holding. So we had some really nice bounces off of them. This big reversal, I actually didn't like, sadly. Obviously, it worked. Because we had undershot QQQ really steeply. So I thought 685 might have flipped to a ceiling and didn't want to take it due to the limited risk reward. But we did hold. I think I should have put more weight on SPX SPY. We did hold the double bottom there. We had the reverse rug pull. So we held all our levels on ES. And yeah, sure enough, we double bottom ripped fully and QQQ followed. So yeah, I mean, miss on my part. I'll have to, something I got to take note of for the future. The later rip, like the reason it ripped even further, this was news. So I mean, from 11:10 onwards, I wouldn't really say that you missed anything. I mean, yeah, they slid into 686. And we kind of retested this double top on SPY, actually. I just noticed this. So this morning level, we had a support resistance flip. But again, I mean, news is news. So I don't want to say like, oh, you should have caught this news candle because of this and that, right? This is a very explosive move. It's a lot harder to catch. So yeah, I wouldn't look at anything too seriously if you missed it past 11:10. All right. Any questions? Anything else? Otherwise, I think I'll log off here, get some lunch, and then I have to head out. Is 7,430 not possible? No, it is possible. I mean, there's a chance we hold this SPY stack and then drop down to 7,430. I'm not leaning towards that happening, but it is possible. We have to see. I mean, there's still 4 hours left in the day, right? There can be really big reshuffles still by end of day. So we have to see. I mean, 7,460 put in a gatekeeper here. So it's possible 7,470 never gets tapped. SPY still has a ton of positive volume that might just chop us around. It's lunch. You know, we've been chopping past like what, 40 minutes due to all this positive volume here. So yeah, we just have to see how these maps develop. But I'm not a good one for like predicting where end of day price will go and all of that, right? I just react to what I'm seeing. I'm really bad at those kind of predictions. I know Glitch is pretty good at some of them. I think even Jewel sometimes calls out some really good hedges. Well, Tesla hit 300. I mean, yeah, I guess I just said. I don't know. I mean, right now, Tesla's really weak compared to the market. Interesting. I don't know. We can still hold this 307. So 300 is still quite a ways away. Especially indexes being this strong. I don't be taught unless indexes get a bigger pullback. I don't think Tesla's going to fall $10. Reso, if the SPY's positive stack is confusing you, just don't trade it. Like these choppier conditions with these big stacks, they're very confusing. They've been happening a lot this week. If this is confusing you, just hop off, right? It's Friday noon. Just you can I don't know, just get an early weekend. User 3CN, go collect all the trades that you got fucked on and DM me to them, or DM them to me. Let's take a look through, see if there's anything we can catch on any patterns on why some of those might be failing. You're fine, Stingray. Sorry, I didn't know you just joined. Did Nvidia squeezed? Nvidia had a bit of a reaction at 210. Now it looked like it squeezed through it. Yeah. It's 215 is slamming up in volume. Interesting. All right, everyone. Again, make sure to do the survey. I'm gonna send this link again. Why not? I'm gonna send this out to the whole website as well. I think we'll leave this survey open until next week. And like I said, if you want to be entered to win the free month of Pro, you have to do the survey, leave your username and email. If you don't want to enter the survey and you want it to be anonymous, obviously don't put that in. And you also have to do a Trustpilot and a WAP review for the raffle thingy. We're trying to, I don't know how many answers we have. Hopefully, user base is growing a lot. Hopefully we can push like 500 reviews or survey answers. That'd be a good hit rate. All right. Hope everyone enjoys their Friday and the weekend. Be safe. There's a lot of moves that have happened, so this may be a more boring Friday. So we'll see. And yeah, I'll get to all the DMs. I'll do my best. I'll get to them all today. Last night I fell asleep before I actually got to them. But yeah, I'll get everyone a reply before the end of today. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Hopefully this is helpful. And again, next week I'll be doing this every day. This afternoon I can't. Next week I'll probably be doing a morning session and an afternoon session. So y'all should be able to tune in no matter when is best for you. And I'll try to do a couple nighttime sessions too, because I know some people work. So obviously they're a bit more limited if they just have like, an earbud in. All right, everyone, I'll hop off here. Thanks all for joining and all the questions. Hopefully it was helpful. All right, bye.